she know what this room used to be?
What it used to be.
Yes.
This actually used to be our bedroom. Early on in our career with Smirkus, we moved into this bedroom right here, and in the office over here, we had the Russians, and over in Scott's office, we had a group of Mongolians, and Rob lived in
my office.
Sarah's office
In
down
your
below.
office?
So we had a variety of different things going on in this space, and we coexisted here. So we were all on the road quite a bit, but we would come together here and have pretty magical evenings and experiences and dinners down in the kitchen, and it was a blast.
Where was the bed? I mean, I'll
Right
get
here.
I'll get secondary.
Right here.
Right where my desk is?
Yeah,
The bed was
headboard
here.
was here and it went this way.
Oh, so I'm sitting in a sacred place.
Yes.
Ah, yes indeed. This was where my Pez collection used to be on the wall. Yes, an odd fact about me. Yep, for years. Yep.
Okay, so let's just go back to the beginning, really. I mean, you guys are both from Vermont.
Both from Vermont.
And
we went to
you're
the
from?
same elementary school. So Sarah and I grew up 4 houses away from each other. Never remember meeting until I was a senior in high school.
And I was a
But we
sophomore.
would have very likely rode the same bus to
The
elementary
reason
school.
why is because I moved when I was in 3rd grade. So by the time I transferred over to the middle school, he was already starting high
Yeah,
school.
so you were right
we
behind each
didn't
other.
really get back into the same school until he was a senior and I was a sophomore. And I decided to do track and field, and just so happens, guess who was on the track and field team? Because it was at the end of his senior year that we met. Like, it was during,
So all of high school you weren't hanging out. It was the end of the
Don't even remember seeing her.
no, and he went off to college in Baltimore after that, and it was really only vacations and summer. Well, even summer, you weren't even around sometimes or something.
No, it prepped us well for a life on the road as circus performers, because we have spent our entire adult life, a lot of it apart from one another, and we crafted our relationship apart. I mean, we spent a good part of the first 6 years away from one another, and basically formed a relationship by letters, as bizarre as that sounds to the modern day
The
kid.
telephone with a cord.
So
But
how did you end up at Clown College in the first
I was
place?
in art
That's a whole other
college,
story.
and it was while being a graphic design major, I didn't want to lose my opportunity to try everything, because that's what I had gone to college for. So I took every class you can imagine outside of graphic design programming, one of which was a mask and headdress class. And in that class, part of the reference materials that my teacher brought in was a ringling program to show the big headdresses that these ladies wear in the circus. And in flipping through it, I see this thing about clown college, and I was like, what is that? Started doing research and realized, oh my goodness, as a clown, you have to be physical, you have to be athletic, you have to be interested and willing to travel, you have to work with a collaboration of people from all different genres of life and generations, and there's an interest in history with circus. With circus you have to be an artist in all forms, you have to be able to paint, you have to be able to draw, you have to be able to sculpt, it's helpful to be able to sew. Everything that intrigued me at that point was a part of the circus discipline.
And just go backtrack, even when he was a kid, they didn't grow up with television. So he learned how to juggle, he learned how to ride his unicycle. So these were just things that he just was a hobby for him.
But I wasn't exposed to circus. I had no idea these were connected disciplines or interests. And it wasn't until I started flipping through this book and I went, wait a minute, all these things that I do for passion are things that people do for a career. And I can add these physical skills with everything I'm learning here in art college. I actually think I found a direction. I get a phone call that month from the college saying, we want you to talk to a gentleman who needs graphic design work done. I really want to dedicate a week or two to prepping for this clown college audition. And I had this incredibly awkward phone call with the gentleman that night, and he said, okay, you sound great, but when can you start? And I, like a month and a half, why? In the process of kind of stumbling through the roundabout way of saying really why, he finally went, well, why can't you start? And I said, I'm applying to clown college. He said, well, here it goes, this gig's out the window. I'm applying to the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Clown College. And there was that completely expected lull, like dead silence. And I went, I know, it's a little weird. And he goes, no, it's really weird. And I went, it's not that weird. And he goes, no, it's really weird. I said, why do you say that? And he said, because I know someone that went there. And I said, who? And he said, me. So here's the guy that is calling me asking for design work that was a former Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey alumni. And it was amazing. My college was smart enough to realize, hey, there's a performer looking for design work, and we have a designer who's fascinated by performance. So they put us together. I met him that night. He gave me the reading materials that I should be studying up on my trip back home, and I was able to do that. I was accepted into Clown College, and on day one of Clown College, I arrived in Baraboo, Wisconsin at the Circus World Museum, and all of our directors and coaches were coming towards us, and one gentleman came up and shook my hand and said, "You're a Vermonter?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "How do I not know you?" And I said, "You have no reason to know me. I grew up working on a farm, and I have no background in circus." And he goes, "But you are from Vermont, and you have all these skills. How's that possible?" Well, I tell him the story, and I said, "Why are you asking?" He goes, "Because my name is Rob Merman, and I own a circus in northern Vermont, and I can't believe that I never heard about you." And so I had to go to Baraboo, Wisconsin to meet the founder of Circus Smirkus, who lived just 2 hours away from me, and we hit it off famously. And throughout the course of Clown College, it became obvious that this is someone that I would love to collaborate with. He felt the exact same way. On graduation, shook my hand, said, "I'm sure you're going to get a contract, but if and when you choose to leave Ringling, I've got a job waiting for you in Vermont." Came up to the Circus Barn shortly thereafter, and walked up the road, and Rob shook my hand. Ozzy, who worked here at the time, Ozzy Henschel, shook my hand, and that was my official first contract. So it was, "Welcome to the family, shook your hand, can't wait to start working with you," and it started immediately from there. So, fun fact, when I'm in Ringling, so this is a blip before what I just told you, before leaving Ringling.
Yep.
I'm in Ringling, I was with the first troupe to go to Mexico. So we were there performing in Mexico. My brother was getting married, so I flew home out of Mexico to go to the wedding. And after the wedding, we realized, well, wait a minute, this Circus Smirkus thing we've heard about is in Springfield, Vermont, which happens to be a neighboring town from where we were. Why don't we go take a peek at what the show's all about? So we go there, we meet and greet Rob, he gives us some great seats, we're watching the show, and sure enough, the lights, camera, action, they have a whole movie scene, and they need an audience participant, and they drag Sara into the ring.
That's one of the
And
pictures.
Sara, this is the best trivia question I can give. Sara was the first Wunderle to make it into a Smirkus video, because that moment
Nice work.
was captured on film. And if you watch it, you can see Sara doing everything she's doing. You see Rob in the ring, and all you hear in the video is my laugh, laughing hysterically. She can't see me, but you hear my laugh, just laughing hysterically. And that was the very first Smirkus moment we had. So then skip ahead after I leave, I come up here and handshake Rob and Ozzy. They say we've, can't wait to work with you. Ozzy said something like, "Heard wonderful things, can't wait to work with you." And I immediately jumped into doing the residency programs with Rob that winter. I did residencies first,
Up
so the
until the
residencies
summer.
went until the summer. Then I did tour. I was here for the creation of that tour.
With tour.
So this was the 10th anniversary. This was the 10th anniversary. And then as soon as tour hit the road, I went to go direct camp. So Sara was the head counselor, I was the head coach. Ran that programming for the summer, came back, did residency work with Sara in 98. 98, coached here, directed camp again. You were a counselor at camp again. And then in 99,
99,
that's
I was
true.
I was head concessionaire that year. I
Oh,
was
wow.
Maid Marian in the show, and I was not doing what I was doing now back in 99.
That's true.
And then after that, got pregnant.
Yeah.
And then Emily was born in 2000, and then between 2000 and Ariana being born in 2003, since 2004 on, I have worked nonstop in the current position I'm at.
so the three kind of pivotal moments were meeting Rob in Clown College, joining the tour with Sara, because that was a big step up. It wasn't just this summer hobby that we were doing, but it was a year-round commitment for the family at that point. And then in 2002, opening day, I came out and I had a little cowgirl hat and a little bandana. And I was, my intent was to bring a little audience member, a little cowgirl into the ring. And I had rigged a little lasso. And I was going to give her a lasso, put the little bandana on, the little hat, and then just step away. And there'd be a little light, a little pool of light coming down, and it was just that. The beauty of watching this little girl go, wow, I can do this, was all the bit was supposed to be. So opening night, I go up and there's 3 little girls around the ring, and I go to reach for the first girl, and she politely says no. And as is common, if your friend says no, then you're likely to say no as well. So my 3 options all said no. And out of the corner of my eye, I see Sarah sitting in the front row of bleachers with Emily on her lap, and
I was
Emily's
sitting on the ring curb. I was
ring
sitting right
curb.
on
That's
the
what I
floor.
meant. Ring curb. No, it wasn't the ring curb. It
I
was
was
the bleachers.
sitting on the ground by the ring
Okay.
curb, and she was.
She was right there. She slid off.
I
She
know.
slid off Sarah's lap and climbed over the ring curb and just walked into the ring. And it was the most powerful moment I've experienced in the show, because the entire audience went, because half the people knew it was my daughter and were teary-eyed because of it, and half the people thought it was a superhuman toddler and were wondering, like, what is this guy going to do with this girl? And I came out and I put the bandana on, which fell to her lap, put the hat on, which dropped over her face, and gave her a bandana, and I stepped back, and I was choking back tears the entire time. And that moment of her doing that totally redefined our commitment to this company.
You get a sense of who Troy is just by listening to him talk. He's a constant ball of energy. He's a constant ball of positivity. Like he encourages people to want to do things. And some things that Troy didn't mention is that he taught me how to stilt walk. We did a partner rollabola act together. He put clown makeup on me and I performed as a clown. He would not.
Juggle.
He told, yeah, well, that's a whole other story. I had to learn how to juggle in order for him to propose marriage to me. So if he wanted me to marry him, I had
That was
to
my
learn
next
how to
question.
Has to be
juggle.
standard, obviously. Come on.
So, at that point in my life, I was just open to anything. So it was part of who we were as a couple. It was part of an experience, and I really enjoyed it.
We've been here for 20 years, and we've seen the ebb and flows of many different type of styles and personalities, and it's fascinating to, it's so thrilling to look out these windows right now and go, this is a healthy company.
There's something about Smirkus that is so much different than other circuses, other youth circuses around this world. I never get to watch a full run show because of the nature of my job. So it's important for me throughout the summer to continually remind myself of why I'm here, is to take that moment, whether it's just 30 seconds, it's a minute, just to stand in that tent as the show is going on. And I'm going to get emotional about it because it's just, that's why I'm here. It's because of those 30 kids. It's not because of my children. It's because of what these kids do here. And it's just, I get so emotional about it every single year because, as you well know, this job can just be so stressful. And I get up in the morning, I work, and I go to bed 9 o'clock at night here. And I'm still checking my email at my trailer for ticket stuff and everything, but I do what I do because of those kids. It's a great reminder every summer. And like I said, if it's just for 30 seconds or just to stand outside the tent and hear the audience just clap, and or standing outside the tent after the show's over and just hearing them just beam and just be so proud and hear the wonderful comments. It's great. And those kids are just, they do it in rain, they do it in mud, in 110-degree heat. They don't complain. And it's such as an adult, a life learning experience just to see these kids do what they do because they're passionate and they love it and nothing affects them. They'll perform when they're sick. Like, we as adults can take so much from these kids, and it just...
And that's one of the things that I think really ties into the magic of this, is Rob considered the collaboration of people here colleagues. And that was the first big impression I got when I came here. I wasn't his employee, I was his colleague, and he would introduce me that way the first week, the first month, to anyone to meet. Here's my colleague Troy. And I was blown away by that because I felt I knew this much, and here's a gentleman that had done so much in his life already. But I was already instinctually a colleague. I don't feel like I would imagine a normal director would feel in this environment. I want to feel like I'm a colleague with these kids. I want to feel like I'm a colleague that can guide them. And it really goes to like the fundamentals of clowning. You don't discover your clown, you uncover it. So it's in you. Everyone that here has the nuggets that we need. They just need to be brave enough and have the time and the creative ability to just share, let them blossom. And that's what's magical about this place. It's not about any one individual. That ring is not about any one individual. You'll never hear me say publicly, my show this year is, it's our show. yes, I might have been thinking about it for the last 12 months, and a gazillion hours have gone into it, but if I stepped out of this company right now, if I stepped out of the show right now, this would continue on. This show would continue on. The audiences would love it. Any one of us could step out and it would still continue on, which basically means you want to be here, you want to be a key member of this team, you want to value it to the best of your ability, and don't get a big ego about it. Don't get big-headed about it. It's really trying to keep the spirit by which Rob founded this company. That's what the alumni, I'm so proud to hear it every year, the alumni come back and go, the spirit is the same. Everything else has changed. How in the world did you get all this new stuff? And how is it all comfy living and all this? But the spirit is the same. And the attitude of the shows, if I'm doing my job right on behalf of Rob, the attitudes of the show is the same.